Okay, so we are back in our VM server. So for part 5 of this video tutorial series, set up domain controller and file server. For the first task, we will need to install the file server resource manager. As a recap, if we go to our dashboard and click add roles and features, and we begin to go with the add roles and features wizard, next role base, next, and select the VM server. And if you notice on the server roles in the file and storage services, 2 out of 12 role service were installed, so only the file server and the storage services were installed. And we highlight, or we take note, that the file server resource manager was not installed. So according to Microsoft documentation, the file server resource manager is a role service in Windows Server that enables you to manage and classify data stored on file servers. So it helps you to manage and understand file and folders on a file server by scheduling file management tasks. You can classify files and folders. You can also do folder quotas and define file screening policies. Without further delay, let's check on the file server resource manager. So you'll have the tools, file server resource manager tools, add features, so include management tools if applicable. So click next, and we don't add any other features, so we'll just add the role service. Then you'll take note that you will add the file server resource manager as well as the file server resource manager tools. So click install and it will perform the installation. The installation was done for the file server resource manager, but there is a pending restart in order to finish the installation. So we'll click close and let's reboot the server so that we can finish the installation for the FSRM. We are back in our domain controller and file server after a restart, or a required restart after the installation of file server resource manager. So how would we know that the role service was indeed installed? So we can either go with the file and storage services. Under the server, you can right click and you'll notice file server resource manager and the settings. Or you could go to tools and you'll also have the file server resource manager. So let's launch it by clicking on it. And yes, it did launch, and you now have the file server resource manager. So again, just to repeat, you could go to tools, file server resource manager, and the file server resource manager will launch. We can close for the server manager dashboard for now, and let's bring our attention to the file server resource manager window. So under the FSRM, so we'll have the quota management, file screening, and other things or other management settings. But for our video tutorial, we'll just focus on the quota management and file screening management. So under the quota management, so you have quotas and quota templates. So let's check first the quota templates. So there is already a quota template for 10 gig, 100 MB, 2 gig, and different sizes. You also have the monitor, 10 TB, 200 gig, and as well as different sizes. Let's check on an example quota template. So let's just select the first one, 10 gig limit, so 10 GB, and the quota is a hard limit. Okay, so the settings is, or the template name for the settings is 10 GB limit. There's no description. The space limit is 10, And now you'll see the meaning of what is a hard quota and a soft quota. So you'll notice here the other quota templates is the name is monitor, and the quota type or quota template is a soft quota. So soft quota is allow users to exceed limit and use only for monitoring, but the hard quota is really to do not allow users to exceed this limit. Also, under the quota template, you'll notice the notification threshold. So you have warning if 85% is reached, 95%, and another warning when it's 100%, and how is it being notified or sent. So the via email. So there is a file resource manager or file server resource manager settings wherein you can configure the email. The rest it will also log on the event logs. Okay, so we have closed our sample quota template and we will go to quotas instead, and we start from scratch and we will not go into template because the sizes are too huge for our example. So 10 gig, 100 MB. So we'll just do a quota for 10 MB. Again, this is for demonstration purposes. Normally, in reality, you'll set a very high quota, not on a 10 MB size only, but on the gig, or perhaps on a TV, perhaps TV size, but not a 10 MB only. So let's go to quotas and click the create quota, and let's start a create quota from scratch. Okay, first of the settings in creating quota is the folder to which your quota will be applied, and the name for that is quota path. So let's click browse and let's go to Windows Drive C. Okay, so our Drive C partition, and again for our quota will be applied on share 1. So we won't apply it on a subfolder, we'll apply it on the main shared folder, which is share 1. So there is already a derived properties from the quota template, which is recommended. Of course, we will not follow what is recommended. Again, for demonstration purposes, we would have followed if there is a lower size. So 100 MB limit, and those are the quota templates that we have checked previously. So we will check or select the define custom quota properties instead and click on the custom quota properties. Okay, so next will be, we already see that this quota path is on C share 1. We could put in a description, but although it's optional, so let's have a test quota on share 1. Again, this is optional. The space limit will be 10 only, and it's a hard quota, so do not allow users to exceed this limit. Next is to make this quota example much simpler, so we won't put any notification threshold, but in reality you should have put in any threshold. So 50% of that, or 70%, or 90, or 100%, what could be the notification threshold, whether it's email or event log. So we'll skip adding threshold and we'll just click OK. Obviously we don't disable quota because we will like to apply it. So 10 MB, test quota and share 1, and click OK. And a summary of the quota properties, and we will click create. Okay, so save the custom properties as a template. We don't want it to be saved, or we can save this custom quota without creating a template. So you can also check do not ask me to save as a template again. So but we could be using another quota as a template, so we will not be checking this. So click OK, and the quota will be created already. So C share 1, and the limit is 10 MB. The quota type is hard. Okay, so we are in our client computer, as you'll see it in the host name, and the user is Infinity Sales. So I've also go to the share, which is the share 1, or the shared name is the share option 1, and we have two sample files here. So 5 MB file. so it's 5.25, and the other file is a 30 MB file, which is 30.6 MB, for us to test the quota. So remember, we have placed the quota on the shared folder itself and not just simply on the subfolder. So 5 MB should be able to be uploaded or to be placed, but let's take a look at 30 MB, whether it will be allowed. Okay, so since we are at sales, so let's copy the 5 MB. So right click copy and go to sales and just place it here. So right click paste, and it should allow, as expected, a 5 MB file. Now to test this, to have a bigger file than the 10 MB file or the 10 MB quota that we have. So it's a 30 MB. So right click properties, it's 30.6. So now let's prepare to copy. Right click copy, paste it under our sales folder, wherein we have permission to paste or put into, similar as the 5 MB. But now let's see if the quota will kick in. So let's click paste, and you'll see there is not enough space on sales. So 30.6 MB is needed to copy this item. So delete or move the files so you have enough space. So click cancel. We are not allowed to put in the 30 MB file. Okay, I have opened another file explorer just to really illustrate to you that we don't have any lacking space. So in the previous error, it mentioned that it requires 30 MB, but if you'll notice, the entire drive C has 110 gig of free space. So the error doesn't point to the reality wherein we are lacking of space. And finally, for this demo, so let's delete everything. So even if we delete everything under the sales to perhaps accommodate this 30 MB, so right click copy. So we have delete everything in the sales, and let's click paste, and still it will just show there is not enough space on sales. So 30 MB is required, even though we have ample size left in our drive C partition. So I guess the quota was working fine, or working on the sales or the share 1 folder, wherein we have applied the 10 MB quota limit. So we are back in our file server, and next task will be the file screening. So we will screen for MP3 files, and we won't allow anyone to upload any MP3. Again, just for our example. So under file screening management, so you have file screen templates, and file groups. So let's just visit the file screen templates and what are here. So similar with quota templates, so we have file screen templates, wherein there's already a block audio and video files, block email files, block executable files, block image files. Let's click on block audio and video files. So double click, and it will launch the file screen template properties. So settings, the template name, and you'll have the select the file groups to block, which are audio and video files. So you'll click on the file groups later to see what are the file extensions that were blocked on here. And we have email, message. Next, if you go to monitor, executable, and system files, so the screening type is not block, and it's monitor, because the screening type is passive screening. So allow users to save files, again used for monitoring. So there is a hard quota, soft quota, there is an active screening, and passive screening. So the file groups were checked is executable files and system files. So let's click on the file groups. So the audio and video files, those with these extensions, so there are several of them. Okay, so let's double click, and you have from AAC down to WVX, WMV. So for executable files, that batch file, down to VBS, PS1, and other files that are in here. So we are back in file screens because we will create our file screen. So file screen path and the file screen properties, or we define our custom file screen property. So the default or the recommended template is the first one, which is the block audio and video file. Let's apply this file screen path on another shared folder. So click browse and go to drive C, and instead of share 1 we'll apply it to share 2. So click OK. So the file screen path is on share 2. Our quota was on share 1. For this demonstration for file screen will be on share 2. Next, we would like to define our custom file screen. So click on this one and click custom properties, and we will select our file groups, but we don't have the file group wherein there's only mp3 file that is there, because audio and video files contains other extensions as well. Again, for the purposes of this example or demonstration, we will only file screen one file format. So let's create, and the file group name is mp3 group. So next is to select a set of files, type a file name pattern, and click add. So example is asterisk or any wildcard.exe or this one. So let's just type. So this is files to include, not files to exclude. So files to include asterisk.mp3 and click add. And so far that's the only file type that we would like to include in our file screen. Then click OK, and we scroll to the group that we have created, mp3 group. Again, to edit is this one, so file screen to mp3, and that's what we wanted. Next is screening type. We would like to active screening, or do not allow users to save unauthorized files, which is an mp3 file. Click OK, and that will be our file screen. Let's click create, and again, similar as the quota, so we are asked whether we save this template or save this file screen as a template. We don't want. Save the custom file screen but without creating a template. Click OK, and there you go. We have now our first file screen, which is on share 2, active, and block the mp3 files. We are back in our client computer, so hostname VM client, and we are logged in as inquirinity.finance. So we have the shared folder open here. So our file screen demonstration or example was applied on share 2 or share option 2. So we will double click on this. So we have finance and we have sales. So let's try to test. Sales I could not access. Finance, yes. So finance don't have any file. So that will be our test folder wherein we could put in some test files. So we have two sample test files. So we have mp3 sample and wave file sample. So right click properties. So this is an mp3 file. So the name is mp3 underscore sample. The other one is a wave file. So right click properties, it's wave, and the file name is wave sample. So we'll try to copy this file on the finance folder, see if our file screen will kick in. So remember, we are doing an active screening on the share 2 folder, so it encompasses finance and sales subfolders, and we are not allowing or blocking the upload of an mp3 file. So perhaps let's start with a wave sample. So properties is 10 MB, so we don't have any quota also assigned to this share 2, so it should flow through. So right click, paste, and yes, the wave sample is uploaded. Now finally, let's try to copy the mp3 file. So it's a very small file, 716 KB only, but it is an mp3, and our file group is disallowing for us to upload. So right click, copy, and now let's test. Click paste, and yes, you need permission to perform this action. So destination folder access denied. You cannot upload an mp3 file.